Well, hello and welcome to Money Talks. I'm your host, Ed Marshall. It's hard to believe that Mardi Gras 2018 is just around the corner, which is Tuesday, February 13th, which is called Fat Tuesday. Well, millions of visitors from around the world will make their way to our area to celebrate what's one of the largest free parties for the public to participate in. But more than a party, economists say Mardi Gras produces millions of dollars for the state of Louisiana and our metro area. And aside from the parades and the other merriment, there are historical factors we want to talk about on this show. I'll have members of one of those organizations with me when we come back. So stay with us.
Louisiana needs a hero.
Someone to look after it.
Preserve it.
We have to do something now.
If everybody took care of their spot, we wouldn't have this conversation.
We all have to do our part.
The power is yours. All you have to do is pick it up.
Care about it. Protect it. Save it.
Be an everyday hero.
Keep Louisiana beautiful.
Well, now that you've heard those statistics, I'm going to get into something a little more intimate. You know, we all are getting ready and getting our clothes and accoutrements and our haute couture outfits ready for different balls. One of the balls I want to talk about, and one of the organizations I want to talk about, is the original Illinois Club. And that is a club that I've always been fascinated with, and now I have three of those gentlemen with me on my set. It began back in 1895, and allow me to introduce Mr. Greg Parole. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, you are.
And Mr. H. Richard Johnston, and who is our historian at this time. And of course, my good friend, Mr. Chris Hammond, is here as well. We want to start out with the historian, you know, not dating you back to that, you know, but it's interesting that so many people, we don't hear about a lot of the history of this club, but we hear about different organizations like Rex and those clubs, because you all don't have parades as well, but you all, people like to say you all brought the African American pomp and circumstance to carnivals back in 1895. So tell us, how did this get started?
Well, there was a Pullman porter by the name of Wiley Knight, who resided in the state of Tennessee, who came to New Orleans and formed a dance group for males and females in 1894. Our first ball, of course, was presented in 1895. So that's when we got started. And we're proud to be able to say that we have always worked with our spouses, our girlfriends, or whatever, in producing this ball.
That is phenomenal. And one of the things we want to mention, people say, it's the Illinois Club. How did the Illinois piece get in there? Because of the Pullmans? Who wants to help me with that? You or Mr. Chris Hammond? Why don't you take that?
First of all, the Illinois piece comes from the journey of the Illinois Railroad.
Okay, so it's connected to the railroad.
Train. Yes.
Okay, the Illinois
Pullman porter, which Mr. Hammond has a little more information on.
Chris, tell us about that.
Actually, the Pullman Porters were actually one of your first African-American labor unions, in which we're really proud of. A. Philip Randolph is also deeply associated with the actual Pullman Porters. But we weren't just associated with labor as far as just work, but when you talk about the actual Illinois Club, you have actually a pomp and circumstance, and you get people a chance to get on the social scene. So we're really proud of that we're directly associated with not only labor, but also with the social side, where we became a part of Carnival.
But it also allowed you all to also later, because I know you're an executive with the Longshoremen's Group, actually get involved and have the unions bring in African Americans, right?
Well,
it was kind of the preimpetus to that?
Well, a lot of your workers, the people that were part of the Illinois Club, they worked in various jobs, and we did have actual union guys that were there, but this is more of a social scene, so we didn't really tie into the Illinois Club, and just recently we started to work more with the actual Illinois Club and say, hey, we're all joined together and recognizing that our histories actually run parallel to one another. So we're exploring that right now.
That's fantastic. And of course, you are the debutante chair. We need to mention that this was a way of introducing young ladies, or as we say, I want to be official, the formal introduction of young ladies to society, African American young ladies.
Yes, and we're really excited. This is my first time being the actual debutante chair. And you say we're introducing the young ladies, but I think we're celebrating their accomplishments. And when you work with these young ladies, you see so much in their bright futures, and when you're working all the time, you see the energy of the younger ladies, and they're just wide-eyed looking at their future. I definitely tell you something that gives you quite a feeling of accomplishment.
And speaking of, I know before that, some of the young ladies are pages. Your beautiful young daughter, Grace Hammond, was a page, what was that, in
2013.
2013.
Yes.
He keeps a big, beautiful picture of her on his desk. She's absolutely lovely. So just wanted to throw that in for Grace, because something tells me she'll probably end up being a debutante, you know. Well, let's turn now to this man right here, and that's Mr. Greg Perrault. And Greg is a past ball captain. And Greg, you got to tell us, what was a ball captain? What are your duties, or his duties, or will be this year?
The ball captain, he's the head man in charge. He determines everything. He selects the theme of that year's ball. He determines the location. He decides the music, the band, even the decoration. Wow. So he is really the person who synergizes everything and determines the whole structure of that ball that year. So
we were talking before set. So people won't really even know what the theme is or the music is until they get to the ball, or
until that night. Everything
so it's all
else
secret.
It's very much a secret.
This is some interesting stuff. I'm planning to be there, by the way. I think my wife got an invitation in the mail already. But I find it real interesting because it also allows people of your age. I'm not dating us as being older, but also the original Illinois Club is continuing with young men being involved in helping the young ladies with their introductions.
Absolutely, and to have been the ball captain and to be given such a huge responsibility, that was a tremendous high honor. I really cherish that.
It really had to be. Now, they tell me that, like some of the other big, nice balls, that you all actually have the call-out cards where young ladies are. Tell me about that, Mr. Johnston.
Each member in receiving his invitations have 2 call-outs that he uses at the end of the ball to call out a young lady of their choice to do a waltz with them. Sometimes it's their wife, sometimes it's a good friend, female friend in the audience.
Now, and I have to say, which brings me to what I really want to talk about. I understand that you are very light on your feet to be a young man of 82, that you are the one that people look to do what you all call the Chicago glide. Tell us about that.
Well, they're exaggerating, but I love the Chicago glide. I really do. And I practice it a lot. And of course, the young men will listen to me as I try to tell them the way it's supposed to be done.
There's a certain time when you all get out and do that specific dance.
Oh, yes. Each rehearsal on Saturdays with our debutantes, we rehearse the Chicago glide.
Wow.
With hopes of reaching some level of perfection.
I'm sure. Chris, tell us, how many debutantes are you all looking at this year?
We have 7 debutantes this year.
Beautiful.
7 beautiful young ladies.
And their ages are like around?
Ages 17 to about 20 years old. We usually have young ladies in their senior year of high school, freshman year of college, are the years that they debut with the original Illinois.
And these are things that they don't forget because, the crowns and the different things are the kind of things that it just becomes a part of their history as well. Greg, tell me, when is the ball?
The ball will be Saturday, February 3rd this year at the Ilario Center.
At the Ilario, and of course it's invitation only.
Yes, it is.
But that's pretty significant because all of the balls of that nature are invitation only, and you all are still growing the organization. So it's good to see that after 120 3 years, this wonderful organization continues. We're almost out of time to talk with you guys, but Mr. Johnston, wrap us up in terms of what you'd like to say to the
Well,
public.
I think that one of the most important things that happens in this process, the relationships that are developed amongst the girls that last forever.
That is great. That is great. Because even in researching you all, I saw where some people, particularly after the storm, said, my mom was was the queen in 19 whatever. No, I don't know what year she was a queen, but I know she was because I have her pictures. And you all are able to have the historical research to find that. I find that wonderful, particularly as a part of the lineage of this community. So I want to thank all of you all for being here. So grateful that you all invited us to this wonderful ball, and I plan to be there. And are guests allowed to learn the Chicago slide?
If you become a member of the
So I
organization.
better not get out there and try it before that. Okay. Appreciate all of you coming in, and we look forward to have a great carnival season, all of you, please. Okay.
Thank
all righty.
you.
When we come back, we're going to talk about something. We're going to kind of switch gears and talk about some of the things that go on in terms of your food products. Do you know that so many foods that we eat every day are grown right here in Louisiana? And I'm going to be talking to one of the CEOs of the cooperative who's going to tell us more. So stay with us. There's more Money Talks coming your way. Well, welcome back to Money Talks. You know, sometimes we just go into the grocery store as we prepare, even for this carnival season, to get different things. Do you ever really think about where all that wonderful food comes from? Well, a lot of these different things are grown right here in Louisiana. Some things you know about, like rice and stuff like that, but there's so many other particular products. And joining me today is a very special gentleman and a very good friend of mine I haven't seen in a while, and that's Mr. Harvey Reed III, and he's the founder and the CEO of the Louisiana Cooperatives. And good to have you with us, Harvey.
Good day.
As always.
Thank you.
I know this is a busy man. He travels between here and D.C. I think they need to get you a plane. You know what I'm saying? Because he's always going back and forth and doing a lot of good things in terms of agriculture. I mean, in terms of the farmers that we have in this area. But for our people who may not know what cooperatives are, why are cooperatives good, and why did you decide to make this organization?
Well, one of the reasons for cooperatives have been around for a long time. And it's been said, cooperatives have been around before the birth of Christ because they found some things in the Far East that showed that there was housing cooperatives initially. And the reason why I got involved in cooperatives, as well as though there was a need that we should have more participation in the cooperative movement. One of the reasons is because a lot of our farmers who are economically disadvantaged need to know that collectively how powerful they are on moving things. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of folks don't realize there are other cooperatives around here, such as a lot of them don't even know the Land O'Lakes or Ocean Spray or Sunkiss or Welch's. All those are cooperatives. They've been cooperatives. Mm-hmm. Even your credit unions, they're cooperatives. So cooperatives have been around us a long time. So that's the nature of cooperatives, how it moved in our nation. There's over 40-something thousand cooperatives in the United States, mm-hmm. and there's many more that's coming up right now. You have housing cooperatives, you know, other than the fishing cooperatives and the agriculture cooperatives,
right.
And you have educational cooperatives.
Yeah. So that's how cooperatives work.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, I was amazed the number of farmers that we still have in Louisiana and the different kind of products that they're farming.
Yes, that's another thing. I would say that Louisiana could feed itself without importing food and what have you. Mm-hmm. But a lot of food is imported into Louisiana, whereas that we have growers right here who can grow the things that we need on a daily basis. So it's very important that we support our Louisiana farmers, and this is what the Agriculture and Forestry Department is all about, you know, promoting our Louisiana farmers.
That's fantastic. And of course, each year the cooperatives they put out a census for the year before in terms of a census on agriculture. Tell us exactly what that census is.
It's not necessarily the cooperatives. It's the EOC.
I'm sorry.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's the National Agricultural Statistical Service.
Right.
Every 5 years, there's a census that goes out to try to find out exactly how much is being produced, who are producing, and how much land is being used for products that's being consumed by our residents and people in the United States. So those cooperatives, they count cooperatives the same way they count our people every 10 years, but cooperatives are done every 5 years. And we need to know, and one of the reasons why we need to know.
Yeah, because I was saying, why is this so important?
Because they need to know who's doing what and where, what is being produced and what is not being produced, and what is your acreage and how much are you producing, how much are you consuming, how much are you shipping out. Those things are really important. Plus, it helps our government to find out exactly how much money they should put into certain states, into certain communities, based upon the amount of production of produce or livestock that's being done each and every year.
So it's a big economic indicator for us.
It is, because, and we ask that those that are in the agriculture market, please fill out the forms that are sent to you. Now, if you're not received your census form, you have to contact your state agency, and they'll send them to you. It's very important, because this is where our dollars come in, because you may have dollars that should be coming to Louisiana, but they're going to another state that we should have been getting, because nobody filled out the forms, because that's one way for you to vote to see exactly how much you will be receiving in the next budget and what have you.
And we need every dollar we can get in Louisiana.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So tell us, so they use this data to determine those funds. So how can someone say, for the 2017 census, and they may not have their form, or they might want to say, oh, I need to contact someone. How do they do that?
They could do it two ways that I know of. They can either contact the local state representative, or they can go to the field office and request from them, so they could give the information or turn it over to them, tell them exactly where they can go and pick up the information. Or they can call an 800 number, or they can just go into the online to the Natural Agricultural Statistics Services and find out exactly where they can get the forms. And
that's the lady named Ms. Kathy Broussard.
Ms. Broussard just took the job as our state director.
She's from Louisiana as well.
She's from Louisiana. Our former state director, he retired last year and what have you, and left the void, so she's there. Trying to promote the things that he has left behind. So it's very, very important that they contact Ms. Kathy Broussard.
Yeah, we'll put up that information too on her website, as well as her phone number. We got to get to that. But tell us some of the what people don't realize too. And I'm bringing Puerto Rico into this. A lot of the things are produced in Puerto Rico. People forget that that's a part of the U.S. territory. Those things are handled by cooperatives as well.
Yes, cooperatives there. I don't know how many cooperatives are in Puerto Rico, so you just can't discount Puerto Rico. You have to also look at the Virgin Islands as well. Both of those are on the Caribbean. Right. So the boat was damaged during the Maria in the hurricanes and what have you. So it's going to take a lot to rebuild and what have you. So it's going to take a strong initiative for them to build themselves back up. And if they had cooperatives down there, it's going to take a little while for them to get the members together if they're coming back. Right. But it's going to be a new breed, and it's going to be a new day for them down in that island. So.
And of course, you were born here in the city of New Orleans, but yet you branched out. You started meeting all these farmers. What was it like? Just kind of take us when you first started going out and meeting, shaking hands with some of the farmers, and finding out what kind of things were produced here in the state.
It was exciting, and plus it wasn't a shock to me, because I always wanted to see what was going on. Coming from the city, it's kind of hard to see cows running around Canal Street or what have you. But once you got out there and smelled the fresh air and able to talk to those farmers and ranchers and other producers, and understanding their lifestyle, the lifestyle that they live. And these individuals, they work like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right. Because when you have dairy cows, that is a 7 day a week job. That's twice a day. Yeah. So
I grew up on a farm, so I remember those
you don't get no time off for that. So they work hard.
Right.
They work hard.
And what people don't realize too, because sometimes people in the cities don't see it, but there are a number of African American farmers out there.
There is. And I think at one time, the last census they had, I think there was the individuals around the St. Landry Parish. They were fifth in the nation as Afro-American farmers as far as number of farmers that was really doing some things.
Yeah.
I don't know where they stand right. We won't know until the census come back out again how many are still producing or how many have got out of the business.
And that's a good way to indicate, who's doing what.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, when I was in the TV world as a full-time news reporter down in the Lafayette area, I used to have to ride in a lot of the festivals. I used to ride in the Yam Festival in Opelousas, the Rice Festival in Crowley, you name it. The Crawfish Festival at Breaux Bridge. But it's a way of celebrating what it means to our area and what it means to us. Basically, being able to, from the birth of our state, we give so much to the rest of the nation.
We do, because you mentioned about the festivals and what have you. I mean, every weekend there's a festival, and each festival, food is being served.
That's right.
And where does the food come from? So a lot of us need to know, where do your food come from?
Right.
And it's good when you see food coming from Louisiana,
exactly.
and that you can really adjust to without food coming from elsewhere, the same thing,
right,
and what have you. So,
yeah, I have to mention, we talked about Carnival earlier with the Illinois club, original Illinois club. A lot during the Washington D.C. Mardi Gras with the representatives and congressional delegation, they actually have people come up from Louisiana with the food because they want the original food for a lot of the people up in D.C. to taste exactly what Louisiana is all about.
Louisiana food is totally different from everybody else's because of the spices and the love that goes into it.
Exactly.
That's the main thing, the love that they put into preparing the food.
Harvard, thank you for being with us.
Thank
you. We
look
forward to having you back. And again, if you want more information, contact Ms. Kathy Broussard. And by the way, welcome, since you're a Louisiana native as well. And also you will see her website as well as her phone number. We appreciate you coming in and for sharing this information. And we'll be back with more Monday Talks in just a few minutes. So stay with us. I've got some very more interesting news to share with you.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Well, this update. Last month, Algiers Economic Development Foundation had one of its largest attended bonfires on the river in Algiers at the Algiers Point. Thousands turned out on the Mississippi River for the Controlled Fire Exposition. Along with the bonfire, people also danced and celebrated to the spirit of the season. And of course, Mr. Derek Martin is the lead person, and they had a wonderful DJ there. And there were young people who won a dance contest, and that's one of our people who are the people on the board. And of course, we had young people there who won our dance contest. There are their pictures. I promised I would get them out. So that's some of them right there. And there's also a young man named Derek. They did a great job. We had a lot of fun. And we also want to thank the sponsors of the event. Well, now we're going to call this our look at history. The first Monday of January, of course, is known as Martin Luther King Day now. It celebrates the life and achievements of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a civil rights leader who led many coalitions and campaigns to end racial segregation for all people. We note that one of the significant organizations that he actually organized was the Southern Christian Leadership Conference right here in New Orleans, and that's a tidbit on that. Well, after the passage of the Civil Rights Act, Americans of all colors and creeds had the right to vote and permission from everyone to do the same. And they were people like my aunt who recently passed, Mrs. Rosie Gray, who made sure that people voted in her area, and she also took it up as her life's legacy as part of it to instill in young people to get out and vote. And as we say goodbye to her, she passed away on December 30th. We loved her dearly, but her life's legacy goes on, getting young people out to vote. And we told you last month that we were incorporating a new segment called Let's Make a Difference, applauding people who give of themselves to help others. Well, next month, we'll show you how teens are learning to not only use computers, but technically work on them and put them back together. Some of them are going to make it their life career work. And it's all because of a gentleman who saw the need and meets it. And speaking of making a difference, we could not end this show without saying a very special congratulations to a local journalist who's retiring from television after more than 40 years. Like Oprah, all she needs is one name for anyone to realize who you're talking about. And that's my dear friend, Sally Ann. Sally Ann Roberts, of course. Sally Ann is leaving her morning seat at the local CBS affiliate. Sally Ann is one of those special people who made a difference in the lives of so many people, particularly young people, with her involvement in teen education shows on that television station, and also speaking across the metro area to community organizations about how we can come together and make a difference and improve this area and humanity in general. Sally Ann, we love you. Well, that's going to do it for this show. Until next month, do something good for yourself, do something good for someone else.